Here's a sample of what some protesters said outside a gathering of Republicans during the presidential campaign.
I support Hugo Chavez and I support Castro.
I am a communist. I'd rather be a communist than for communist. Capitalism sucks.
Capitalism sucks. She's a communist. The man says he supports Chavez and Castro. How dumb can they be? Well, pretty dumb. At a Bernie Sanders rally, notice the Soviet flag? Don't progressives know that the Soviet Union failed because it was awful for people? As societies become prosperous, thanks to capitalism, the people enjoying that prosperity often don't realize that their lives are pretty good only because of free markets. The richest country in Latin America now is Chile. But 50 years ago, Chile was poor.
There was a perception then by people that was convinced that the way out for a society was communism. They actually wanted to destroy the market.
He's a former minister of finance in Chile. The communists did destroy the market and ran the economy into the ground. That led to violence, much like what we see in Venezuela now.
A dictator, Augusto Pinochet, took over the government. He was vicious. He killed and jailed thousands of people. But he had the sense to leave the economy to people who understood it better than he did. He turned to economists who studied under Milton Friedman at the University of Chicago.
People that believed in free markets and a free society. That kind of things were a novelty at the beginning of the 70s in Latin America and in Chile.
Milton Friedman said, "I never advised Pinochet and none of us approved of his dictatorship." But because Pinochet allowed Friedman's suggestions, Chile boomed. Venezuela was once 4 times as rich as Chile. Now Chile's twice as rich as Venezuela. That's progress for Chile anyway. The website humanprogress.org tracks progress around the world. The editor is Marian Tupy. And most of the world has experienced progress.
Indeed, especially the age of globalization. Over the last 40 years, we have seen a dramatic decline in poverty, absolute poverty across the world. When President Reagan became President of the United States in 1981, 80% of people in East Asia lived in absolute poverty, which is to say on less than $2 a day. Today, 4% do.
Because of this globalization that Donald Trump doesn't like.
Because they trade with the rest of the world, they exchange information, and they become wealthy as a result.
So Donald Trump says we need walls, we need limits on trade.
Free trade benefits everyone, even countries which are very good at producing everything.
I like Marian's newest website. It's titled Your Life in Numbers. You can plug in any country and compare progress, or lack of it. Here you can see the massive difference in Chile and Venezuela over 40 years. In Venezuela, income fell by 21%. In Chile, it rose 228%. You also compare level of democracy. I don't know how you compare that.
Do people have a choice between 2 political parties or more political parties, between 2 or more candidates? Are there checks on the power of the executive? Do people have civil rights? Are they able to enjoy free press? Are they able to enjoy free association? And based on those criteria, countries are assigned a level of democracy.
With less state control, everything gets better. Life expectancy is longer in Chile. There's less crime.
Before Pinochet took over, Venezuelans lived longer than Chileans. Now Chileans live 8 years longer than Venezuelans.
This is what drives me crazy about people in America and Chile. They don't get it, despite how clear it is that the free market's done wonders for them. Some people in Chile, like Bernie Sanders and Green Party supporters here, still want socialist controls.
Here's a protest held in one of the richest parts of Chile. These young people demand a higher minimum wage, fuel subsidies, cheaper water, cheaper electricity. After some of them threw rocks, police turned on water cannons. The violence continued for months.
They don't understand what makes their lives better.
The advocates of small government have dropped the ball. They assumed that the great accomplishments of the Chilean economy would speak for themselves. And as a result, there are very few think tanks, civil society, political parties that defend...
Why do we have to explain it to people? It's just visible.
because the left never bought into the Chilean economic model. The left,
Or the American model,
or the
compared
American
to Bernie
model.
Sanders.
They're very good at organizing. They are very militant. They make a lot of noise. They have friends in the media and amongst the young people at universities. It is very fascinating that the collapse of Venezuela has not had more of an impact on the left and really destroying the mythology around socialist economics.
Doesn't seem to have any impact on Bernie Sanders supporters.
People should have learned from the collapse of communism in Eastern Europe, and they haven't.